She wrote it all down. Every dark thought, every moment of fury, every fantasy about what she wished she could do to the man who took her father from her. And now that journal, those pages filled with raw, unfiltered hatred, has been found. By the wrong people. At the worst possible time. Summer Spellman has gone from grieving daughter to murder suspect in the space of a single discovery, and the walls are closing in fast. If you thought you had this Coronation Street murder mystery figured out, this week's developments are about to make you question absolutely everything. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are deep in the heart of the Theo Silverton murder investigation, and things have shifted dramatically in a direction that many viewers genuinely did not see coming. Summer Spellman, one of the show's most quietly compelling characters, is now firmly in the spotlight, and between a journal full of explosive revelations and a police interrogation that promises to be one of the most gripping scenes of the year, the next chapter of this mystery is shaping up to be extraordinary. We are also breaking down what the man at the center of it all, actor James Cartwright, had to say at the BAFTA Television Awards this past weekend, and his comments are every bit as tantalizing as you would hope. Let's get into it. Before we get to the journal, let's take a moment to remember exactly who Theo Silverton was and why virtually nobody on the street is mourning him. Theo, brought to life with chilling precision by James Cartwright, was a man who hid his true nature behind a mask of charm for as long as he possibly could. His primary victim was Todd Grimshaw, played by Gareth Pierce. Over the course of almost a year, Theo subjected Todd to a sustained campaign of physical, emotional, financial, and sexual abuse that was among the most unflinching things Coronation Street has ever depicted. He engineered a shotgun wedding, isolated Todd from his support network, and controlled him in ways that left viewers genuinely shaken. When the mask finally slipped and the streets saw Theo for what he really was, he didn't even bother pretending anymore. The monster simply stepped into the open. But Theo's damage extended beyond Todd. He was directly responsible for the death of Billy Mayhew, the gentle, much-loved vicar played by Daniel Brocklebank, who was a father figure to Summer Spellman. That is the wound at the heart of Summer's story, the loss of the man who believed in her, raised her, and loved her unconditionally. And it was Theo who took him away. The official suspect list that Lisa Connorswain and Kit Green are working through covers 6 individuals, each with a credible and emotionally grounded reason to have wanted Theo dead. There is Danielle Silverton, Theo's long-suffering ex-wife played by Natalie Anderson. There is George Shuttleworth, Todd's closest confidant played by Tony Maudsley. There is Christina Boyd, played by Amy Robbins. There is Gary Windass, Theo's former best friend turned enemy, played by Mikey North. There is Todd himself, played by Gareth Pierce. And then there is Summer, played by Harriet Bibby, until recently perhaps the suspect viewers considered least likely to have actually done it. That calculation is changing rapidly. Before we get to next week's bombshell developments, it is worth pausing on what James Cartwright had to say at the BAFTA Television Awards over the weekend, because his comments have sent fan communities into an absolute frenzy. Speaking to the Radio Times on the red carpet, Cartwright was asked the question everyone wants answered: who killed Theo? His response was perfectly crafted to give away nothing while simultaneously making everything feel possible. He warned, with a grin, that telling would require consequences. Then he went further, saying plainly that it is not who viewers think it is. He floated Summer's name, noted it was unlikely but not impossible, suggested George with the reminder that the man is physically capable and has already thrown a punch at Theo before. He even brought up Pauline McLean's character as a wild card, laughing that there are simply so many people it could be. What Cartwright said about the experience of being part of this storyline was genuinely warm and enthusiastic. He described the murder week as something he felt honored and deeply grateful to have been part of, calling the show thriving and vibrant. And he made a point that gets to the heart of why this mystery has gripped audiences so completely. Viewers weren't just waiting to find out who died, they were simultaneously waiting to find out who did it. 2 layers of suspense, he said, 2 bites of the same cherry. It is a structurally brilliant piece of storytelling, and Cartwright clearly knows it. Now, to the development that has completely redirected the conversation heading into next week. George Shuttleworth and Christina Boyd discover Summer's journal. This is not a minor plot detail. This is potentially seismic. Viewers have already had a glimpse of this journal, having seen Summer rereading a page filled with scrawled, passionate writing about Theo's true character. But what George and Christina find goes considerably further. They discover a new entry. In it, Summer describes holding a gun to Theo's head. Read that again. Summer Spellman wrote about pointing a gun at Theo Silverton. Whatever the context, whatever the intent, whatever the emotional state in which those words were written, they are now in the hands of two people who are terrified about what they mean. As George and Christina work through page after page of Summer's deepest, darkest thoughts, her fury, her grief, her hatred, they begin to seriously consider the possibility that Summer ended Theo's life. And Kit Green, never far from the trail of anything significant, makes a discovery of his own that accelerates the situation further. Summer is brought in for interrogation by Lisa. Harriet Bibby, who plays Summer with a quietly devastating intelligence, has spoken about what this experience does to her character. She described Summer as being in full panic mode, not because she is necessarily guilty, but because the evidence is stacking up in a way that looks damning regardless of the truth. The journal is real. The thoughts in it are real. Whether or not Summer acted on them, seeing those words read by other people, and then being sat across from a detective in a police interview room being questioned about a murder, is an experience that would unravel almost anyone. Bibby pointed out something that is both dramatically rich and emotionally honest. That sitting in a police station being questioned about a killing is horrifying even if you are completely innocent. The panic is not evidence of guilt. But it looks like it. There is also, Bibby noted, another layer pressing down on Summer in those moments. Billy, the adoptive father she lost, the man whose death at Theo's hands sets so much of this in motion. Even in the middle of a police interrogation, part of Summer's mind is asking what Billy would think if he could see her now. That guilt, that need for the approval and love of someone who is no longer there to give it, adds an aching dimension to what could otherwise be a straightforward thriller scene. Fan reaction to these developments has been electric, and James Cartwright's BAFTA comments in particular have thrown online discussion into fascinating new directions. The phrase, "It's not who you think it is," has become something of a rallying cry in Coronation Street communities, with viewers debating furiously about what it actually means. If the obvious suspects, Gary, Todd, George, are being positioned as red herrings, then who does that leave? Danielle, the scorned ex-wife with a complex emotional history, has been gaining traction as a theory. Christina, who witnessed Todd's suffering up close, is another name being raised. Some viewers are even revisiting the idea of Summer with new seriousness, arguing that the show would only plant this much evidence against her if she was either genuinely responsible or the most sophisticated misdirection the show has ever attempted. Looking ahead, the interrogation of Summer promises to be one of the standout scenes of the coming week. Harriet Bibby is an actor who has consistently delivered more than the material sometimes asks of her, and a full police interview sequence, with Summer's guilt, grief, panic, and love for Billy all competing for space in a single performance, is the kind of opportunity that tends to produce something memorable. The question of what Kit has discovered, and how it changes the shape of the investigation, will also be crucial. If his evidence points firmly at Summer, the pressure on her becomes almost unbearable. If it opens up a new avenue entirely, this mystery just got even more complex. What this storyline continues to do brilliantly is resist the temptation to make it simple. There are 6 people with genuine motive. The victim was genuinely monstrous. And the show is holding all of that moral complexity in one hand while spinning a tightly constructed thriller plot with the other. That is not easy. But right now, Coronation Street is making it look effortless. So there it is, everything you need to know about Summer Spellman's terrifying new position at the center of the Theo Silverton murder investigation, James Cartwright's tantalizing BAFTA hints, and the explosive week ahead on the cobbles. This mystery is building towards something extraordinary, and we will be here covering every single moment. Now we want to hear from you. Has your theory about the killer changed after today's news? Do you think Summer did it? And what did you make of James Cartwright's hint that it isn't who we think? Tell us everything in the comments. The debate down there has been brilliant and we want to keep it going. If you enjoyed this video, a like goes a long way and we genuinely appreciate everyone. Subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell, and we will see you for the next update from the Cobbles. See you then.